Hey guys, my name is Chris and welcome to my show SmegChris Review. Yes, I'm doing another one finally. As you know, cinemas are not open right now, so I can't actually go watch any new films, so I've decided to start reviewing films that I've not seen before but I've just recently watched. Mainly just because I wanted to bring this show back. But before I get on with the movie review, I want to talk about some television shows that I've gotten into. And there's been quite a lot. One such show is called Brave New World. Now I wouldn't totally recommend it because it is a very slow moving show, but I did enjoy it. It's this sci-fi series based on a 1930s novel that was ahead of its time. It's set in this dystopian future in this city where people are not allowed to have relationships. Instead they just, take drugs, have sex a lot, have parties. We're also shown that there are savages living out in other parts of the world. And when these two cultures mix, things kick off. And I have to warn you, it's not for kids. It's like full of violence, there's blood everywhere, and of course, like I said, sex. But it was one of those shows where I had to force myself to watch it, and sometimes I got into it and then other times I'm just like, ugh. But the way the first series finished, I'm like, there has to be a second series, otherwise I won't be happy, because there are some questions that need answering and some secrets that have yet to be revealed. But like I say, it's not one that I would recommend, but if you do happen to catch it, try sticking with it. There are a lot of good moments. Talking of sci-fi shows, one that I really got into was Raised by Wolves. At the beginning I was sort of, I'm not really sure if I'm going to stick with this, and then I got to the end of that first episode and my jaw just went gung. It dropped because it was amazing. And after that, every episode it was just something that I was glued to the screen with. It's set in the future where these androids land on this planet and they've got these embryos and they start raising these 6 children. But you find out later on that one of these androids isn't quite what she seems. And of course all these other host of characters start showing up, and yeah, it's just amazing. Ridley Scott is one of the executive producers and has directed a few of the episodes. And I do totally recommend this show, just not for children because there's a lot of violence in it, there's sex, and yeah, it gets gory too. There's only 10 episodes, but trust me, every episode is worth watching. Moving away from sci-fi, another show that I was introduced to was F.B.I. And all I can say is, from episode 1, I was hooked. There were times when I didn't really get into investigation shows, but ever since Elementary, I've sort of swayed towards them. And this one is quite high octane. There's always something big going on. There's been a kidnapping or a bomb threat or somebody's going around murdering, and they're always trying to find these people to stop them. And the characters involved are fantastic. Although I did notice at the end of the first season, things started getting more personal to these characters. And they also did a sort of a backdoor pilot for another show, F.B.I. Most Wanted, which I've yet to watch. And from what I saw of that episode, it looks totally different, and I'm probably going to get into that one as well. If you're into your shows like that, I totally recommend this one as well. And of course, there's one other show that I want to talk about, The Mandalorian. All I can say is, wow. Now don't get me wrong, that first season, as good as it was, I didn't think it was fantastic. I did like all the little nods to the original trilogy. I loved the characters, especially Baby Yoda, and the stories were just amazing. However, it's the second season that I've really got into. It's been a blast from the beginning to, well, I'd like to say the end. I've got one more episode to watch. One. However, by the time I put this video up, I'll have watched it. I already know about a certain spoiler. I couldn't miss it because it was all over Google. I don't want to spoil too much because some of you may have not watched it. I mean, it's only exclusive to Disney Plus, and the only reason I've got Disney Plus is because I've got a free trial for a month. But there's been a character reintroduced from the original trilogy into this second season, and I'm just like, really? They've got this person in? And they've also brought in a character from Star Wars The Clone Wars. She's had an appearance, and apparently she's getting her own show too, which I can't wait for because Rosario Dawson's playing that character, and I love her. She's a fantastic actress. I can't say enough good things about The Mandalorian. It has been brilliant. I can only imagine it's going to get better. And that actually reminds me that there is another show I've been watching. I completely forgot. The Clone Wars. I didn't really think I'd get into it, and I gave that first episode a try, and I was just like, wow, brilliant. Obviously it's set between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. I've been really enjoying it because we never actually saw the Clone Wars between those two films, So now we're getting to see it spread out over 7 seasons. I'm still only on the first though. And yes, I know certain characters come back that are supposedly dead. I'm looking forward to those episodes. But they've not all been brilliant. There's one episode where Jar Jar Binks shows up and they all thought he was a Jedi, and literally my brain just switched off on that one. I was playing on my phone. But all the other episodes, I'm just glued to the screen. And now I'm thinking about another show I've been watching. I thought The Mandalorian was the last one. I'm slowly remembering other shows. And again, this one's a Disney Plus exclusive, WandaVision. Now, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan. Saying that I'm wearing a Marvel shirt right now, it's because of the film I'm reviewing. And I do have all the MCU movies. I'm pointing that way because they're down there, all clumped together. And I have felt that Marvel has sort of gone a bit stale of late, but WandaVision, oh my god, is that show fantastic. They've been pulling characters in from different films. I don't want to reveal any spoilers at all on this, but if you've seen the end of the 5th episode and a certain character showed up but played by somebody else, if you were like me, I was like, what the fudge? Okay, maybe I used a profanity. My mind was just like, it's opened up a whole can of worms. Like, seriously. But I don't want to go on about it. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe I'll do that on another video. I think that's all the television shows I remember. There's probably others, but right now I can't remember. But most of them I do recommend. Okay, it's now time for me to review a film, X-Men Dark Phoenix. This film was released in 2019, so just 2 years ago. Now I just want to give a brief history of my love-hate relationship with the X-Men franchise. So the original X-Men movie came out in the year 2000, and I did enjoy it. However, on the last viewing of it, I think about 2-3 years ago, I was bored watching it. Honest to God, nothing really happens until the end. It's just a lot of getting to know the characters and then bickering between each other. But still, it was a good film. Then X-Men 2 came along, or X2 as they like to call it, and that is still downright fantastic. We find out some origins about Wolverine, and there's lots and lots of action, lots and lots of characters, brilliant storytelling. A lot happens in that one. It still holds up to this day. And then came along X-Men Last Stand, and I was one of those who enjoyed that film. I know it wasn't well received, but I thought it was pretty decent. And then things started getting a little crazy after that. Along came X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that wasn't very well received. I thought it was pretty decent. Learn more about where Wolverine came from, but their use of Deadpool was really, really bad in that one. I'm so glad they rebooted that one. Then came X-Men First Class, a prequel, and I thought it was pretty decent. Not too bad, not too good though. And it was a nice way of showing how the characters interacted before X-Men. Then we got The Wolverine, which was pretty decent. It was okay. And it ended with them leading into the next X-Men film, which was Days of Future Past. But there was no explanation, because at the end of The Wolverine, his clothes weren't adamantium, they were just bone. And yet in Days of Future Past, they were adamantium again. What happened? Where's the middle bit? But that aside, Days of Future Past was absolutely brilliant. One of the best X-Men films they've ever done. You know, mixing old with new. Fantastic. And I really wish the X-Men films had stopped right there, because Apocalypse was bad. Really bad. I think I gave that 4 out of 10. Something like that. The only saving graces were there was a little bit of Wolverine thrown in there, and Quicksilver, his scene of rescuing people out of the mansion. I loved that. But the rest of the film? And then Wolverine got one last film, Logan, which was really, really good. Nice send-off for a few characters, including Logan himself. But why? Why hadn't the franchise stopped there? Because the timeline had already been ruined at this point, and they just went a little step further with the new one, X-Men Dark Phoenix. The only reason I watched it is because it was on Disney Plus, and I could watch it for free, so I thought, why not? I really wish I hadn't. It is really, really bad. Like, you thought Apocalypse was bad? This one's worse. A lot worse. They basically rehashed the Jean Grey story where she turns into the Dark Phoenix or whatever she wants to be called there. We all saw that in X-Men Last Stand. And another thing, one of the main characters, and this is a spoiler, but I'm not going to say who it is, one of them within half an hour, dies, and that character is in the original X-Men trilogy. What? Then there's a character played by Jessica Chastain. She's some sort of alien thing. Yeah, it doesn't really go into much detail, and her character was one-dimensional. I'm not saying she's a bad actress, she's a fantastic actress. I mean, she's been brilliant in other things. But this one character, it was like, you've got to play it like this, and only like this. And she's like, oh, okay. And she doesn't really do much other than talk people into doing things. And then when she does do something at the end, it's very little. The climax of the film, I actually don't remember. And I only watched it last week. Honestly, there was some sort of train derailment. And then there was like a... I don't even know where it was set. I don't know if it was in like a scrapyard or something like that. And I really don't remember how it ended. What? That's how bad it was. I was totally lost interest. I am trying to think of a redeeming thing about the whole film. I can't think of one. Even Quicksilver didn't have that many scenes. You know, he got shot in the leg or stabbed in the leg or something in the leg, so he couldn't run. So he was not in the rest of the film, or most of it anyway. I just hope that they are now going to stop doing these X-Men films and let the MCU take over. Give it a fresh take, because that timeline got absolutely skyboshed pretty early on. For example, was his name Angel? This kid with wings was in X-Men Last Stand, but they reintroduced him in Apocalypse as a younger version, or whatever. But he was already young in Last Stand. Didn't make sense. After everything I've just said, I'm going to have to give X-Men Dark Phoenix a... Yep, it's really that bad. Like I say, it's been a week since I watched it and I can't remember how it ended. Honestly. If you're wondering what the clicking noise is, it's my heating kicking in. Good, because I'm frozen. But like I say, until I can see new films at the cinema, I'm just going to keep reviewing films that I watch on Disney+, DVDs that I've not seen before, or films that I've recorded off the television, and there's quite a lot of them. And if you saw my video called List of Films, you'll know that some of them have been very, very bad. Some have been good as well. But I think it's high time I started reviewing them. And who knows, maybe after the cinemas do open again, I'll still keep doing that. We'll see. But for now, it's time for me to go. All that's left for me to say is thank you for watching and subscribing if you have, and liking this video if you did. Until the next time, peace out. Let me just quickly list off a few more of those films that I've watched off the TVR. Like I've said before, I do keep this list, it's a bit tatty. I'm not going to go through all of them, there's quite a lot. Let me just tell you a few of the recent ones that I've enjoyed. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. It was pretty decent. I actually enjoyed A Million Ways to Die in the West, even though it's not had good reviews. And I've recently watched Creed, which I enjoyed. As for some that I didn't, Daddy's Home. It's supposed to be a comedy. I think I laughed maybe twice. Although I do think I've got Daddy's Home 2 on here somewhere. Yep, right there. And this one, Sicario. I hated that film. Like, seriously hated it. You think I didn't like X-Men Dark Phoenix? That one was a lot worse. I actually started falling asleep watching that one. Hopefully all the others are not going to be as bad.